I'm back. I've returned once again to explain the world of the Mandela Catalogue to you all today. Now, when we last left off, I didn't really touch on a few things, so I'm going to touch on that in my recap I'm about to do. But today we're going to be discussing the newest episodes, 238, Volume 5, Unraveling Part 1, and Unraveling Part 2. Let's just cut to the chase. I shall begin with a quick recap of the series up to this point. In the world of the Mandela Catalogue, the devil disguised himself as the angel Gabriel. He then put something on Noah's Ark called an alternate, beings that copy people's faces and voices to varying successes. Later, he visits Mary, Joseph, and the shepherds, each on the nativity story, telling them something different. Mary, he says, she will birth the Son of God like usual, but says he will speak with Joseph and must reverse the delusion. Joseph says to Joseph, he says to wake up, and the shepherds, he tells that he knows what they love, he knows what they dread, and then he does the funny Germa face. Years later, in the town of Mandela County, a man named Caesar is assimilated by an alternate and calls his friend Mark Heathcliff to his house to turn on cameras. As Mark leaves, the alternate follows him. Eventually, Mark is trapped in his room, and after praying for help, wondering why no one has come, he asks, "Who have I been praying to?" Before ending his life, the alternate makes it known this was before he ends his own life. The alternate makes it known that this was a bad decision, Mark, and then he assimilates him. Around the time, a being known on the TV known as the Intruder would come through and kidnap children, including a child named Adam Murray, son of the recently divorced Jude and Lynn Murray. Lynn, distraught at the sight of her missing baby, she plays jump rope, but her neck gets caught in the rope. That's what happened. YouTube, don't age restrict me. Before this, at some point, the Intruder disguised himself as a TV character named Stanley, who tells children to conjure an imaginary friend. He then says the friend is in their house. Most likely this means children can unknowingly summon alternates as imaginary friends based on whatever is in their head. Around this time, an order from the government to destroy all TVs and mirrors to stop alternates happened. An officer named Thatcher Davis, who had already investigated Mark Heathcliff's death, goes to the Murray house with his partner Ruth Weaver. Inside, they see the dead Lynn, the intruder on the TV, and some lanky creature. Thatcher jumps out a window and tells Ruth to make it to the station. Thatcher then calls to backup, but it doesn't work as the alternate arrives and morphs its face into Thatcher's and calls for the reinforcements to leave. Years later, Sarah Heathcliff, sister of Mark, founded the Bythorn Paranormal Society with Adam Murray, but she quit field work when Adam played a tape at a crime scene and dozens of hands came from the walls. Adam then starts working with Jonah Marshall, a somewhat lazy and cynical man. They get a call from a woman to watch her house for a few days to help her cat's spirit pass on. Cats are in quotation marks. Throughout the night, things get weirder until an alternate runs to a camera and whispers nonsense that in the subtitles says, "The effects are easy to avoid. However, one must simply seek the knowledge." This refers to MAD, Metaphysical Awareness Disorder, or MAD. Brought on by alternates telling you forbidden knowledge. Jonah then tells Adam to leave, but Adam refuses, so Jonah says that it was all fun and games when they were chasing stories and imaginary ghosts, but this is real, and they never should have looked for someone whose name is censored. Adam then yells that Jonah can leave, and Adam goes into the basement, where on the TV is the Intruder, who asks Adam if he remembers him. And then he would ask Adam what he does after showing a bunch of faces in Adam's life. Adam says he did the right thing. We then see Jonah driving and crying when on the GPS is error code 333, a sign of an alternate is near. As the GPS says, he left Adam to die before an alternate kills Jonah. We then meet Dave Lee, a man who runs a video store in Mandela County, and who has been restoring tapes to help Thatcher, who people assume is dead, but he actually lives in the abandoned Mandela police station. Once his employee, Evelyn, Adam's ex, finds and watches one of the tapes, he asks Thatcher to take care of her and quits restoring the tapes. He then calls his friend O'Brien about taking up an offer to work at his church. Meanwhile, Adam finds Jonah's car, drives home, and calls Sarah, he tells Jonah died. So Sarah makes Adam make a memorial video. He does, but it gets corrupted. We hear a conversation between Evelyn and Adam, where she asks Adam why he told her something she didn't want to know. We then hear about four different Adams talking before one yells to shut up and get out of his head. We then see Dave at the church before the sky goes dark. The windmills stop turning and the clouds stop moving as Gabriel appears and tells Dave he was so close, but he still managed to follow the shepherd. Now, and when we last saw each other, no one knew really what this meant still. Dave says he didn't accomplish anything and that Gabriel isn't even real. Being oddly calm. And Gabriel says that Dave already did all his bidding for him. He then kills Dave. Rest in peace, my goat. Adam then gets a spam message, but once he replies, the intruder appears and explains about a baby who would cry at night, but the TV would keep him safe from the monsters. His sweet boy. He cradled him in his arms and asks Adam if he remembers his face and touch. He says Adam's skin is not his own and he's not the real blank. Now, obviously, he's cut off by a call from Sarah telling Adam she's here for him. What the intruder was going to say is Adam is an alternate. Most likely an alternate that came through once baby Adam was taken. On a side channel, we get two videos, one of Easter, but instead of Jesus coming out of the tomb, Mary Magdalene goes in and Gabriel gives her forbidden knowledge. The other is a church, as we are told answers lie beneath. Adam then tries to exit the game himself with bleach, but he can't, and Gabriel tells Thatcher he's Thatcher's intuition and to follow the screams he hears. Thatcher then finds Adam writhing, his face is morphed, in a bottle of bleach on the ground, screaming to kill him. Thatcher then takes Adam back to the police station. Meanwhile, Evelyn and Sarah look for Dave via security camera, but go into the police station cameras and can't leave. Thatcher asks Adam what happened to him, and Adam says it was all his fault and someone warned him this would happen. Thatcher asks who, and Adam says God, meaning Gabriel. On a website, we could see Adam's journal, and a drawing of Gabriel was also called God. Sorry. Man, I shouldn't pace around while I record. We also see Dave's autopsy as the doctors talk about how they forgot about Mandela County. They then see something on the body and ask if that should be moving. Thus, you are now caught up.
Hey, what time is it?
2:38.
Now, let's get into the new episode, starting with 238. 238 is a very odd episode. For the first 1 minute and 30 seconds, just a normal old Vine compilation from like a few years ago. And it suddenly cuts to black and white footage. It says this is a Vine compilation from 2015. It then cuts to a voice message system telling someone to leave a message after the tone. After the tone, we hear a radio show talking about a tornado, as well as a photo of the Murrays. We then see something walking through the house holding the camera. We then see giant chairs or whatever filming is super small or has the camera low. We then see the drawing of a butterfly, which resembles which is the symbol of resurrection in Christianity. We then see a clock arrive at 2:38 when it stops. We then see a lamp bug out. It's then total darkness. We see a doorknob turn, and it cuts back to the Vine.
You should kill yourself now.
Now here's the real meat and potatoes, Volume 5. We start with a dangling phone in the Murray household. We see a dangling Lynn and someone running away. We then get an account of an alternate in a house in Yonder County as part of Operation Census by the Temporal Phenomena Agency. We then are shown images of a car driving with an alternate driver on the 18th of April, 1992. The car never went back to where it came from, and where it came from was investigated by Officer Booker, who saw N, the alternate from Volume 1, which is pretty cool to see him again. It was like seeing an old friend when he showed up. We are also told it was not hostile, just observant. We then get an ad for Midwestern relocation services, saying, "Are the kids too much? Boss won't give you that raise? You got skeletons in the closet. Begin anew. 1-800-SET-FREE, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Midwestern relocation services." Seemingly, they help out deadbeat parents who want to leave, people who are wanted for crimes, or just unhappy with their life and want a new start. We then get this note. Highway 368, between exits 81 and 82. There's a small patch of empty space in the cornfield, heading westbound. Park your car in the nearby ditch, and leave your keys in the glove box. Take any other valuable items with you. The empty space in the cornfield is the beginning of a path that eventually leads you to a large open plain. You will see a structure in the center of this plain. This is your safe house, that you must remain within until you are relocated. The back door will be unlocked. We then see Jude Murray walk into the house. He survived Volume 3 after all, most likely running away after calling Thatcher. We then see Jude set up a mattress in the attic with the TV. He keeps it on at night. We then see a commercial that opens with a man in the corner asking if you heard something you wish you didn't. It asks if we are constantly held back by fear and anxiety. Then says they then say to ask Tim Royal. Tim Royal? I don't know how to pronounce it, actually, now that I think about it. I'm just going to call it Tim Royal. We then see a man take it and walk to a beach through an ad. And we also see The text on the bottom of the screen, see our ad in Newspeak magazine. We then see the animation of a shepherd looking at his sheep. A lamb is dead. Before he rests, he says he tried his hardest and failed and is sorry. He is then visited by an angel, or miraculously, one disguised as an angel of light. Gabriel. The shepherd asks if they are the Holy Spirit. Gabriel says they've heard the prayers. When the shepherd asks if they are forgiven, Gabriel asks them, what for? Then shows the lamb is revived. We then see Jude called the MRS, and a man named the MRS leader, voiced by Solid JJ, who makes really funny videos. You should watch him. He asks Jude if he's sure about this, and then saying once he enters the car, there's no going back. Jude then calls Adam's doctor, who asks when he'll next see little Adam, but Jude says he and Lynn are moving, so they're switching doctors. We then see the shepherd again. A woman named Jane approaches and says she's a farmer and asks for grain. She claims her crops were ruined. The shepherd gives her the grains, and Jane says she'll pay him back. The shepherd asks what's wrong with his little lamb. Jane says he's blessed, but the shepherd says it's not healthy. Jane asks the shepherd to visit her tonight. The shepherd asks why him to the darkness. The sky darkens, and the shepherd is suddenly in a desert, bound by chains to his feet. I'll just let this clip for itself speak on its quality.
How do I know you are holy?
We then see Jude on a call with the MRS man asking if Jude is excited and if the driver's well behaved. He then asks Jude where Jude is, and the MRS man is furious when Jude says he couldn't go. Jude explains he just couldn't go. He couldn't bring himself to leave. The MRS man starts saying Jude is awful for not going. He tells Jude that he's a filthy deadbeat, that he can't escape this. He knows what he did and to stop acting like it didn't happen, and that Jude should do what he needs to do and do the world a favor. We then see Jude's medication for Farazepam. Someone then knocks on the door. It's alternate Thatcher. He speaks very broken and oddly, asking if he knows about the TV and destruction order, and Jude says yes, he does, and that he's just house-sitting. While Jude sleeps, he suddenly has a dream of Gabriel, who's now in a distant, blurry 3D model, saying it was supposed to have been him. Jude then wakes up to his TV all red with his text, "It was supposed to be you," most likely referring to his wife's death. We then see the shepherd in the sand, bound still, when a mouth appears saying, "And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. Night fell upon them in an instant, and all the color was drained from the world. An angel appeared to them, and they were terrified. The angel fooled them, just like he planned. But there was more work to be done." Another mouth appeared saying, "It does not need to be this way. You are not the first. There are so many more. Nothing has been done yet. He has a lot more convincing to do. Until then, trust nobody. Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me?" Before we can move on, can I say I rewatched my first video, and I don't think I did enough on what you followed the shepherd meant, or at all. I don't know why, because it was troubling me during the time. So I'll explain what my theory at the time was. It was a term for people who go off the alternate intended path, which I thought was maybe, following God, or at least at the very least, not doing what the alternates want, following some figure. Can I say, I was right, ha ha! You followed the shepherd is a term used by alternates for people who defy them. The shepherd then wakes up to Jane, who says the shepherd's in her home. The shepherd says he's here, he knows his presence. Jane asks who he's referring to, as it's just the two of them, everyone else left town. It's just the two of them. Just what she prayed for. We then see this.
Just what I prayed for. Look at me. What's wrong?
Please, no. Are you there?
We then see Jane dead on the floor. The shepherd tries fleeing, but Gabriel reaches for him. We see a lamb in a basket of hay morph into weird anamorphous. Perhaps a metaphor for Adam. Baby Adam, alternate Adam. Jude then wakes up. He looks outside and sees his baby crib with crying noises. It's Adam's crib. We then hear breathing as Jude walks around the house and sees N outside. Jude walks around the house and N follows, eventually getting inside. N then chases Jude around as Jude hides in the closet. He then recognizes N screaming that is them, asking what they want from him. What they want from Jude, how they've taken everything from him, his wife, his child. He then says if he wants to kill Jude, then to do it, as he has nothing. And then corners Jude on the bed. We then see a figure outside, shrouded in red life, dying from being hung. Most likely a symbol of Jude, or a better name in this analogy, Judas. He begins and begins morphing a mouth. We then see the intruder hood, which means I was right. This means N is the intruder, which means that the intruder is the one from volume 333. I was right. Okay, maybe I missed a few details, like I didn't reconnect that N was the guy for volume 333, but I was correct on the intruder being that guy. He is that guy. It was all there. This guy is this guy, which maybe this guy is this guy. I don't know. That would imply that, I mean, the Gabriel figure did say there was an alternate hive mind, so maybe they share copy forms. I'm not sure. That's too much to get into right now, but I was right. The intruder is the monster from volume 333, which took baby Adam and caused Lynn to play jump rope really badly. We then see Jude dying on his bed as we see the spilled pill bottle as he dies. He begs for help and says it's in his head. This means there's a chance N isn't physically there, but he's attacking psychologically. And maybe when he got to Jude, Jude accidentally overdosed when he being attacked, or out of desperation trying to get rid of the alternate by taking the Farazepam. Or perhaps the Farazepam made him more vulnerable to the attack. We end on a shot of an empty door.
Why can't I move my eyes? Oh, why can't I move my mouth? Is this an internal dialogue? I can't see the end of the horizon. Hatsune Miku! Is that you? Have you...
This episode following this is Unraveling Part 1. In this episode, it's a video of a TikTok account called All Dark, All Gone, which is real. It's actually on TikTok. It's pretty cool. It's of a girl doing a TikTok getting ready with me. But the video keeps looping and black screens appear and she gets less energetic. The colors die out, and around 2:38, we hear some low growling noises that almost sounds like it's saying, "Help me," and "Oh God." Then it goes quiet and the screen goes black and the same notes repeat. We see this in the mirror. I think that's Gabriel. And then it goes black and gray void with a face in the mirror. We pan the camera and see Mark Heathcliff's bed.
Hey, back off, man. This is Dave.
In Unraveling Part 2 is a tape made by Dave Lee, the love of my life, about recursive VHS degradation or generation loss. Rambo reference. Commonly, the loss of quality on subsequent copies of a VHS tape, we see the examples of Gen 1, 5, and 11. By 11, the screen is gray and the audio is off-putting. Dave then says there's another kind of gen loss by outside influences, and when his emotions let him know he's right, the time is right, he'll conduct the experiments. We then see Dave watching the Easter cartoon, in which we see Gabriel enter Jesus' tomb and convert Mary to say that Gabriel is the savior. Dave says he's using this tape that he received for restoration purposes. What we know is that he and Thatcher did for at least a few years was restore tapes to try and fight alternates and find weaknesses. Dave made 3 copies of the tape, one a copy of the last copy. Dave then says it's lonely at the shop tonight, but his intuition is telling him otherwise. It's time. The first copy is normal, but the second copy is a bit distorted. We then see the door from the Farazepam commercial. And we then see the church Mark Heathcliff with too. In a video of Genesis Aprithian is where the secrets lie beneath, which is also where Dave died, if I believe that church is the same building. We then see disembodied legs outside the window, which Dave is way too chill about. Also, that we see the clock is a little bit before 2:38, if I'm correct. The third copy is very wrong. It's a distorted version from the Genesis Apithian. The tape grays out as the women walk, and then when they enter the tomb, we see Gabriel infect Mary Magdalene, and the woman walking with the message, all gray, all dark, all gone. We then see an alternate face kind of outside Dave's window. The message dots outside the window does appear to shift around in the video. The clock is also at 1:35. We end on this shot of a head outside the window. Now let's get to the theories before I put the pieces in explanation, because there's a lot to ask about.
Feel like I'm going crazy.
Okay, now, the 238 theory is a timestamp that's appeared in the one video, 238, that I thought appeared more. It really didn't. This theory isn't as much substance as it is just a detail I've noticed that's appeared a lot, so I looked into it, and I've spent too much time to get rid of it now. Now, 238, then I'm going to start it off with what the numbers mean in religion, because I think that's the most direct correlation that we can have. 2 means wholesomeness. No, 2 means a union or division. 3 means completeness or wholesomeness, and 8 means resurrection. Now, volume 2 and 3 were about the Murray/the Intruder, which could, the wholesomeness could be the completeness could be the forming of a new alternate, or the wholesomeness of baby Adam. 2 could be a union or division, Adam's human and alternate natures splitting apart from one another near the end of volume 2, and we don't know what volume 8 is, but if it has a resurrection in it, then I would be proven right, which is pretty cool. Now for these Bible verses here, none of them really are anything of substance, but here are the ones that I found. Maybe someone else can notice more detail. Repent, Acts 2:38, repent and be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Jesus Christ, you are forgiven. 1 Kings Shimei 2:38, what you say is good, your servant will do as my Lord said, and Shimei stayed in Jerusalem for a long time. 1 Chronicles 2:38, Obed, the father of Jehu, the father of Azareth. Luke 2:38, coming up to them at that very moment, she gave thanks to God and spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem. Daniel 2:38, in your hands he has placed all mankind, and the beasts of the field and the birds in the sky, wherever they live, he has made your ruler of them all. You ruler of them all. You are that head of God. None of it really fits, yeah. I also looked at 135 in the Bible. I didn't find anything else, so let's talk about something that's been on my mind for a few months now. The idea that Gabriel can stop time. Now, I know, that's crazy. That's insane to try to say. When has time manipulation ever been a thing? Well, I mean, there's the metaphysical awareness, whatever it is, the temporal phenomenon, that's what it's called, temporal phenomenon association guys, which temporal phenomena would have to involve some form of time manipulation. Now, let's think about it. Every time Gabriel appears to a mortal, the world goes gray and things get all dark and stuff. Now, let's look at this. When Dave died, Gabriel appeared, the world gets dark, the wind stopped blowing, and the windmills stopped. Now, I never thought much about the windmills stopping, but until I thought about what if he stops time, because then the wind would stop blowing, hence the windmills stopping. That's kind of the basis of the theory. Okay, now I want to discuss the possibilities of what Jude's timeline between volume 333 and volume 5 is. Now, I believe that Jude and Lynn's divorce happened before volume 333, otherwise Lynn would be dead, and that would be kind of weird that he divorces her dead body. So Jude, there's 2 possibilities that I found. A is Jude and Lynn are divorced but live together to raise baby Adam, and all of volume 333, lit / volume Intruder alert. Lynn sees baby Adam's been taken by the imaginary friend alternate. She perishes due to a miscommunication with the jump rope, and Jude escapes. He calls the he never goes back. He calls the MRS, lies about what living with Lynn still, baby Adam being around, that kind of stuff, and then he dies from the alternate attack. Well, B is Jude and Lynn are divorced but live together for the baby, obviously. Volume 333 happens. Jude goes back, finds the alternate baby Adam, and also maybe an alternate Lynn, I'm unsure, and runs away. This connects more to the idea that the shepherd might not only just be a connection of what does you follow the shepherd mean, but also the idea that it's all that baby Adam's a metaphor for the lamb, and that the shepherd is a metaphor for Jude, like running away, and that's why Gabriel wants him to die, because he should have raised the alternate baby so that it blends in more. But that's just the theory and the idea. Now I want to end on a section that's called What is This? I put a few of the weird things I found around. So we're going to start at first with the driver of the car on the road. It's clearly just an alternate, probably Enter the Intruder, just driving away after killing Jude. Now, the MRS is weird, because it's obviously a company built on the idea that, oh, you run away, you've done something bad, or you're just a deadbeat person and you run away. But here's a few things. They're seemingly nice at first, but they get really aggressive when Jude says that he didn't come. They're angry to an irrational degree, despite saying Jude could leave before getting in the truck. They're most likely alternates, luring in deadbeats or people in trouble to assimilate them for the greater plan, obviously. What is Jane? Jane, since she dies after Gabriel reveals himself, she was clearly just like some meat puppet that Gabriel promised reward to, but it was all a lie. Excuse me. And this lamb guy is probably a baby Adam metaphor. That's the closest thing that I could find. Now, for Razapam, I did a little research into different kinds of chemicals and drugs and stuff. Now, fur is iron. Iron is just iron. Aza is used for arthritis and is an immunosuppressant. And Pam is, well, the closest thing I found was poison. It's also very similar to the name's very similar to a drug that treats insomnia. I forgot the name of it. I'll probably put it on screen. And then in the ad right here, it says, see our ad in Newspeak magazine. Now I looked into what Newspeak is, and it's a dystopian novel by George Orwell called 1984. That's from what it's from. Newspeak is the fictional language of superstate. That's like all brainwash and stuff. And it basically is just censorship speak. You can't speak outside of things and stuff like that. And the weird thing is I found some of the translations, some of them don't make much sense for alternates, but the ones I found were God think, orthodox thought, opposite of crime think, which is a crime think is to commit a thought crime. Ooh, pardon. And a thought crime is an occurrence of a controversial thought in your head. Now, God speak, now I can't really think, that's just cool think, because God think is stuff like that, but unperson is a person not only killed by the state, but effectively erased from existence. This also doesn't actually make much sense now I'm saying it out loud. I should have probably said this stuff out loud first. Crime Stop is to get rid of one's unwanted thoughts, which actually that relates more to alternates now that I think about it, because they give you the forbidden knowledge, and the only way to get rid of it is to seek it out on purpose. And the parole feed is stream of mindless thoughts on TV and stuff, which could line up with the Intruder getting through the TV and telling kids through programming to let him into their house. And thus, my friends, we must once again leave the horrors behind in Mandela County for now until Alex gets the next few parts released. It's been a fun journey. We've had a few great mysteries solved and some new mysteries added. Thank you all for watching. Please watch one of the videos that I recommend to you. One of them is a video I want you to watch. The other one is one that YouTube thinks you'll like. Please watch them. And also subscribe to Alex Kister, who made this wonderful series that I love with all my heart.